Hello everyone, myself Ruchi Patel, working as an assistant professor at LJ College of Physiotherapy. Today I am going to discuss about the shoulder complex. And in the shoulder complex, we are going to learn about the dynamic stabilization of glenohumeral joint. As we all know, glenohumeral joint, it's a ball and socket type of joint, and the articulating surfaces are the head of the humerus and glenoid fossa. The glenoid fossa, which has a concave surface, whereas the head of the humerus has convex surfaces. So here you all can see this concave surface, that is the glenoid cavity, and head of the humerus, which has a convex surface. The head of the humerus has a larger articulating area compared to the glenoid fossa. In the previous lecture, we have seen related to the static stabilization of the glenohumeral joint, and in that, as we all know, that during the resting position, when the arm is in the dependent arm position, that time there's the muscles or the structures which support the glenohumeral joint, that are the rotator interval capsules and certain ligaments, that is the superior glenohumeral ligament, coracohumeral ligament, and superior capsule. So these three structures includes into the rotator interval capsules, and that helps for the static stabilization. So today we'll see about the dynamic stabilization. In dynamic stabilization, we all should know about the deltoid and glenohumeral stabilization, rotator cuff and glenohumeral stabilization. In that, ITS, that is the infraspinatus, teres minor and subscapularis. Then we'll see the supraspinatus and glenohumeral stabilization, and the last, long head of the biceps brachii and glenohumeral joint stabilization. Okay, so here in this figure you all can see this fx, that is perpendicular to the long axis of the bone, and this fy, that is the just that fx, that is the parallel to the long axis of the bone, and fy, that is the perpendicular to the long axis of the bone. So as we all know, this perpendicular, the force factor, that is Fy, will help us to provide the rotational motion, whereas the Fx, that is the parallel to the joint axis of the long bone, that provides the translatory force. Okay, or we can say that it provides the compressive type of force. So here you all can see that Fx is in the larger amount compared to the Fy. The Fx force is compared to more compared to the Fy. So we can say the rotational force is quite less to provide the rotation motion at the glenohumeral joint. And along with this Fx force, if we want this rotational motion, then this Fx should get compensated. And if this Fx is more compared to the translatory or compared to the compressive force, it produces more shear type of force. So it may hinder the abduction motion. So we have to reduce these shear forces, and to reduce these shear forces, along with this gravity force which is coming in the downward direction, that is quite not enough to compensate the Fx force which is provided by the, or which is produced by the deltoid. So we require some other structures or some other muscles to help this Fx to reduce it, or we require the other structures to help this Fy to increase the rotatory forces. Okay, so now we'll see the role of the rotator cuff muscle, and in that ITS. So here in the first figure we all can see the direction, force direction according to their insertion we have the direction of the force, and according to the muscle action, we have the almost we can say all the this ITS muscle have a same direction, force direction, whereas the supraspinatus it has a altered, so it has a in the upward direction force vector direction, correct? So first we'll see about these three muscles role and how they help to the deltoid for the production of abduction motion. So here in this figure, we can see that the resultant force vector of the ITS is indicating the red color. And if we draw the perpendicular and parallel force vectors, then it is Fy and Fx. Fx again here it is in the parallel to the long axis of the bone, and Fy is perpendicular to the long axis of the bone. So here this Fy is comparatively more compared to the Fx. So along with the gravity force, and this Fx is we can say it is in the opposite direction to the force direction of Fx in the case of deltoid. So along with the gravity, this Fx will help us to compensate or to neutralize the effect of Fx force. Okay, so that will reduce the shear forces which comes for the glenohumeral joint during the motion. So now this Fy will help to the deltoid for the production of rotation motion. And as we all know, the subscapularis, which has a role of medial rotation, whereas the infraspinatus and teres minor will also help for the lateral rotation motion. So during the abduction motion, this infraspinatus and teres minor will help to produce the lateral rotation, and along with the lateral rotation, it helps for the stabilization just to neutralize the effect of this Fx force. And as a result, there will be the smooth abduction motion will be possible. So by seeing this, we can say this force which is produced by the deltoid, that is not quite enough for the production of full glenohumeral joint abduction motion. It requires the help of ITS muscle as well, correct? So now we'll see the role of supraspinatus. So here you all can see the direction of the force, that is Fx here it is in the upward direction, Fy is in the rotatory force, okay, and this red line is indicating the force vector. So we can say this Fx is here comparatively less, rotational force is quite enough more. So that helps to produce the abduction motion in a very easy way. So here we can say that this Fx, that of course will get compensated or will get neutralized with the help of this gravity. So now here the pure rotation motion is possible with the help of supraspinatus. Till now we all were knowing about that deltoid, the middle fiber that produce the abduction motion, and the supraspinatus that is the mainly activated initially for the 15 degree of the motion. But theoretically, we can say the supraspinatus is the strongest muscle to produce the abduction motion. As its rotational force is more, it can produce the abduction by alone that force. Okay, it does not require the other muscle help. Then last we have long head of the biceps brachii. So as we all know, the biceps brachii as such will not have a major role for the elevation of the shoulder, but as it's this muscle is get passed along with the structure of rotator cuff muscle and nearby to the this rotator interval capsule, directly or indirectly, it helps us to provide the stabilization for the glenohumeral joint elevation motion. Correct? So this is all about the dynamic stabilization of the glenohumeral joint. Was the brief idea related to dynamic stabilization. For the further detail, you all can refer the Joint Structure and Function by Cynthia Nordke. Thank you.